Alright, welcome back to another Battlefield by Jordan Sparks trading session and Lunch of the Market. The good news is that we now know that the markets really only care about the threat of nuclear meltdown in Japan. The bad news is that in Japan, they're fighting furiously to prevent the threat of a nuclear meltdown. Alright, so now that we know what the markets really care about, the resolution of the nuclear issue in Japan should bring a bottom to the market. But for now, it looks like there is no bottom in sight except for certain names. Alright, now, what ultimately matters, right, is one of our favorite sayings from Guy Adami: price is truth and truth is price. And at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is price action. This is just a really nice way to say that price action tells the real story of the markets, since stock prices are forward-looking and they're really the predictors of real life. So while the Dow is getting pasted for another 146 points and the S&P is off another 14.5 or so, the situation in Japan is getting worse. How do we know that? Well, because the markets continue to sell off. But, fellow stock lovers, fear not, for all hope is not lost. Amazon, Chipotle, Salesforce.com, Lululemon, NetFlix, and Deckers are all either in the green or showing losses of less than 1%. So what the heck do all these random stocks tell us? Well, it goes back to a question that Jim Cramer used to ask people at his hedge fund. What the heck do tight back pants have anything to do with the nuclear meltdown in Japan? Or he could have also asked, what do hiking boots have anything to do with the nuclear disaster in Japan? Or he could have asked, what does fresh cooked Mexican food that's actually good for you have anything to do with the threat of nuclear meltdown in Japan? Or he could have asked, all right, just kidding. I think you get the picture. The bottom line is that some of these things have absolutely nothing to do with the nuclear meltdown in Japan, and they're really not going to be affected. So Netflix and Deckers are barely down, less than 1%, and Amazon, Chipotle, Salesforce, and Lululemon are actually all up, indicating that at the end of the day, price is truth and truth is price. And the truth of these stocks, as shown by the green on your screen, tells you that they're going to be unaffected, or if they are, just barely affected by what's going on in Japan. The stock market has finally stopped selling everything indiscriminately. It's starting to distinguish between stocks that you can still own, or at least not sell, and stocks that you should walk away from, or at least be careful of until this disaster is resolved. All right. We continue to hold all spreads short when the short side, or the top side of our put spread, is within $1.75 of where the stock trades. So for instance, if you have Deckers we're short $80.75, and the stock trades above it at like $80.46. As long as that holds true, we're going to continue to hold that spread into options expiration. Take Molycorp, for example. Molycorp is another one in which, let's find out exactly where the stock is trading. It's trading at $44.52. We're short the 45.40 put spreads in Molycorp, and the stock is trading right here about 48 cents away from where we're short. So we're going to hold that into expiration because time is on our side with theta. Theta is the option Greek that describes how much of the price of the option is eaten away each day as the option gets closer to expiration. And since that's Friday, and really we have time on our side, not the side of the person who owns the option, we're just going to continue to hold because gosh knows we don't want to pull another NetFlix in which we roll the option down and out only to see the stock skyrocket the other way, which is what's happened with Netflix after Goldman Sachs finally read our article that we wrote last Thursday and caused the stock to pump $15 a share yesterday after they realized that it's going to take a heck of an effort for either Amazon, Facebook, Google, or anybody else to mount an assault on Netflix territory. And it looks like Netflix might have read our article because they're taking our statement about maybe getting some proprietary content and becoming more like an HBO in which they produce their own original series. Yeah, they made a move yesterday. This morning. Sorry, all the news cycles starting to blend together at this point because we're hearing news constantly 24 hours a day. Even when you're sleeping, you're still getting your iPhone pinging you every time there's an update on some nuclear reactor in Japan. Anyway, I digress. The bottom line is that Netflix is taking our point seriously to move into a content in which it's only offered on the Netflix platform, or proprietary content. I don't think it's a far cry that some point down the road Netflix becomes something like an HBO in which they produce their own shows, their own series. I could even see them buying something like a Stars because that's much more close to their business model than it is any of the other players, which means all the other players are going to have to spend enormous amounts of money to try to secure original or exclusive content that Netflix already has. All right. So, remember Greece? Yeah, I don't either. In fact, I don't even really know what happened to Greece. And that's the point that James Altucher brings up all the time, is that eventually Japan, Bahrain, Libya, remember those guys? And anything else that's going to pop up is all going to go the way of Greece or Egypt, meaning it's going to be resolved. And eventually all these events become priced into the market. When the market stops going down on bad news, you know that the bad news is priced in, and you can start looking for trades to the upside. So, we're probably going to avert another total meltdown of the entire world's economy, and we're going to continue to invent and innovate and grow our way out of whatever the world throws at us. So keep your head up and stay in the game. Look, I know I told you yesterday to get out of the game, but I figure that all the people that should have gotten out of the game are already gone, and so whoever's left today should stay in the game and do some homework and make sure you know what you own and have plenty of cash. All right, it's almost Friday, and that in itself should be something that we can still count on, right? Still counts for something. Friday's the weekend. So have a good afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow, and thanks for joining us today on Lunch at the Market.